Samson said, "Let me die with the Philistines." He bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. And the Lord has a blessing to the reading of his word. Amen. Y'all work with me today. Y'all work with me today. Look at your neighbor and say, "Neighbor, did you shake like Coco?" Man, one more there. Say, "Neighbor, did you shake like Coco?" Somebody said, "What in the world?" They already know what you're talking about. Did you shake like Coco? I'll show you today. We find in today's passage of the scriptures the sad story of a judge of Israel who could not keep his mind off of Philistine women. He associated himself with these women in spite of who he was, who God made him to be, the fact that he was a Nazarene at birth. There were certain things he wasn't supposed to do. One of them was cut his hair. He wasn't supposed to drink from the vine. He wasn't supposed to eat an unclean thing. He wasn't supposed to deal with anything dead. And Samson seemed like he broke every one of these. If you go back to the prior chapters, he killed a bear. He came back to the bear that he killed with his bare hands. The bees and started making honey in the dead bear's carcass. Thank you for something. How many of y'all are going to eat honey out of the dead? Anybody? Thank you. He was a Nazarite. God had made him for a particular purpose, to stand for Israel and God and holiness. And Samson just couldn't seem to get this in his head. He would do things to antagonize, not judge them, antagonize the Philistines. So much so that his own people came, "We gonna offer you up to them so they'll leave us alone. Maybe if we get rid of you, if we're gonna tie you up," go back a few chapters. He got so far that he said, "We're gonna tie you up, we're gonna give it to them." And they tied him up there, so let them tie him up. And they presented him to the Philistines. Samson broke loose and killed a whole bunch more men. Samson's job was to do as God had commanded him, but every time we look at the chapters, he was always looking at Philistine women. His parents asked him, "Why don't you pick someone out of Israel?" He said, "Well, Philistine women please me." But Samson forgot who he was. And his parents had raised him the way that God told him to, but he still got off track of what he was supposed to do. And you find it in the 16th chapter in the lap of Delilah. Delilah didn't care nothing about Samson. She wanted Samson. They offered her money to take Samson down. Get close to him as you can. What you should do, we're going to come in here. They offered her about $800. How many shekels was it? See, it was 1,100. I looked it up. It was about $700 a shekel. She was going to be a rich woman. She didn't love Samson. She didn't care about Samson because she was a Philistine. How are you going to love somebody that God got you defending his people against? And so many times we find our young people, "But I like him. He's nice." Come on, man. And when you get in front of the house, don't come in, don't come up to your room, can't speak that, they got attitude problems. When are we going to understand that we're a peculiar people, a royal priesthood, and God has called us into the righteousness? He's calling you, he's big for you, he's asking you to come in and be part of the fellowship of the gospel of Jesus Christ. But how long will you stand on the outside and look in and say, "That's not for me"? How long will you say, "God, I don't need you"? How long will you say, "I'm not ready to be in the yard talking to Mr. Brent. And out in the yard talking to Mr. Brent, he had his dog out there. His dog was a pit bull, weighed about 100 pounds, and his name was Coco. And Coco, while we were talking, saw a squirrel across the street. We're talking about a major-sized pit bull that has been trained, so that has trained his dogs very well. And he's sitting up here looking at this squirrel across the street, and he's like, and he looks back at that man and he says to them, and he just stood there, but he started shaking. He's looking at the squirrel, and he started to shake, he's starting to look, and he looks back at Anthony again. He sits down. He sits down on his leg, but he's still looking at the squirrel. And he starts shaking, he's looking at the squirrel, but he won't get up and run out. I watched this dog step out of his instinct into obedience to his master, so the master will praise him and treat him for being obedient. If a dog has suffered, look back at him. And he says, "Sir,
make it plain.
Come on, we gonna go fix it up. If we don't get what we want, you won't make it all right. The lion wants to look like Kim Kardashian or something. He couldn't get his hair from being wrapped around his Philistine woman. And there's a little sign of somebody out there for you. Say, sit it on your way. Obey. Jesus. And he wants to know, do you want me or do you want this dog? Did you shake like Coco? Coco, rest in peace. The Coco gone now. But Coco stood there. Squirrel was working his nerves. Think about us, we just like dogs. I see dogs run after stuff, and they thought they could handle. And when it turned out they couldn't handle. I've seen dogs run after cats that was 3 times smaller, but the dog came back with a bloody eye, bloody nose, bloody teeth, and all the wings later. But he might even handle it.